Hey everybody, welcome back to the interview chair brought to you by Canine Chronicle TV and Dog Show Tips. Today on the chair we have Raymond Filburn, one of my very favorites. Sit down, listen to Ray for a while. Hi everybody, welcome back to the interview chair brought to you by Canine Chronicle TV. And today on the chair we have AKC judge and IG breeder, Raymond Filburn. How are you, Ray?
I'm pretty good. Well, how are you?
I'm good. It's good to see you.
Good to be.
You been busy?
I've been very busy, Will.
You're always busy. Every time I see you're judging somewhere or doing something. So,
well, it's flattering that people want to have me on their panel, and I certainly enjoy being traveling the countryside. Let's put it that way.
For sure, I always enjoyed showing to you. So I don't see. I'm sure that's why the rest of the world does as well too. So,
well, thank you. Very kind of you to say.
All right, let's get started. Tell me how you got started in our sport and how old you were.
I was 12 years old. My mother took me to a dog show in town, and I saw an Italian Greyhound walking the fields. And this woman who happened to be Louise Cleland, who was a judge from Connecticut, an Italian Greyhound breeder, also bred boxers, and Pembroke Welsh Corgis. And I said to my mother, "Oh, that's the most beautiful dog I've ever seen." And I was a little spoiled kid, I have to tell you that. And I said, "Mother, I'd like to have one of those for my birthday." And I don't know how she managed it. This was in June, and my birthday's October. And in October, I had arrived on my birthday day, and Louise Clayton was at my door with a puppy.
Oh, wow.
And that was really the start of it. And the puppy was 4 months old, and we went to some handling classes. We went to the first dog show. I was 13.
Do you remember whose handling class you went to, or what club?
I want to say it was Margot Dwyer's, and it was probably Eastern Dog Club or Middlesex County Kennel Club. In I want to say Framingham, Massachusetts. Marco was a local professional handler, mostly poodles. And at the time, that when I look back at them, those are wonderful days because we had handling classes, and there was 30, 40 dogs every week in that handling class. Some puppies, and there were handlers that brought dogs that needed experience. There were breeders that brought puppies that, were growing up and getting into the stage where they needed to be trained. And so it was a wonderful experience. I met a lot of wonderful people. And to this day, some, almost 60 years, it's still fascinating friendships I have with dog people all across the country. And some, I have to say, probably even in the world. It's a fascinating aspect of life that I would not have chosen when I had my first Italian Greyhound puppy so many years ago. Very interesting.
That's incredible that you saw you fell in love with an IG at 12, and it's lasted this long. That's incredible.
I think they're beautiful dogs, and I feel very privileged. They're living porcelains to me, and I feel like in my home when they're here. When I'm home and the dogs are lying on the sofa or just walking around, the intrinsic lines of the Italian Greyhound, they're like living porcelain. It's artwork in motion. They're just beautiful.
I agree. Like, I don't know if you can tell behind me, my statue. If you look at my statues, it looks like I like sporting dogs, beagles, and sight hounds.
Sight hounds, I see that. Yeah, and a poodle or two, I guess, maybe.
Yeah, there's a poodle there, and setters, and there's a beagle. But there's like three,
Three.
three sighthounds anyway.
Yeah. Yes. I can
I have a
see.
wolfhound statue over there. So,
Yeah. I've got mostly on the mantle behind me. You can see. I don't know if you can see that or not, but there's
oh yeah, I can see them.
several pieces of pottery in the thing. I have a big collection across the room, but
Well, it seems like we all do, and I think my I'm getting off topic a bit. My two boys, they're not really into dogs, so I don't know who's going to get all this stuff. So,
well, that's the problem and the issue, I guess, at hand. Who appreciates it? I know I do. You probably do. And what's going to happen to it? It remains to be seen.
yeah.
I hope it goes to someone who appreciates it. And hopefully yours will as well, your collection.
Yeah, I'm sure I'm sure Adam will do something with it. So, all right. So, okay, you're 12 years old. You've been to handling class now. You have your puppy.
Mm-hmm. And went to my first dog show. I don't know, probably 4 or 5 months after that. I don't recall the name of the kennel club. Yeah, I don't recall the name of the kennel club, but I do recall there was an open class, dogs and bitches together. There were four of us, and my puppy was Winners, and it was a bitch. So I went Winners and got a major. And interesting note, that was 60 years ago in New England and Massachusetts. It took 4 Italian Greyhound dogs to make a major. Here it is, 60 some odd years later. It still takes 4 dogs to make a major in Region 1, which includes Massachusetts, the New England states, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, Vermont. So
have you been in that area your entire life?
I have been, yes.
Yeah. It's a beautiful area. So.
It's a beautiful area and very close to Canada. I showed in Canada often. We would go to, in the summer, we'd go to Moncton, up the circuit there. It was a wonderful time with Betty Dellinger and Kathy Dellinger and Tommy Smith and Dee with some kind, Barbara Partridge, you probably remember.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
She would come up and we would have wonderful, wonderful time. And just another aside, I was in Canada several weeks ago. You were on the panel. And another judge, Grace Fritch, and we flew into Buffalo. And I have to tell you, we were so nervous because of the political goings on.
Atmosphere, yeah.
We didn't know, how would we be accepted? And I'm happy to say it was just like the last time I was there, and the time before that, and the time before that. Warm welcome by the Canadians, as it always was, and probably will always be, I hope.
So there's no question.
And there we are at a dog show, and what common interest that we all have besides politics, besides the politics, is dogs. And there was not a disparaging word. We were welcomed with open arms, and we're very proud of that.
And I have to say the same. I judged in Ohio a few weeks ago, and the same thing, right? Everybody was so welcoming. It was so nice to be there. It was just no issue was ever brought up. So,
yeah, I guess the politicians don't realize that it's the everyday man and woman walking the streets. We don't make the laws. We don't make the decisions.
Right.
We love our neighbors. And
we always will. So.
Yeah, I hope that is the case. And even because I live in New Hampshire or Massachusetts sometimes, I would often go to Canada. Canadians would come down here and show. And so we knew a lot of the Canadian breeders. And, there were some wonderful dogs that I got to see. I was very fortunate to see some of the wonderful dogs, particularly toy dogs by the Hearts with the Pomeranians. I'll go way back. I mean, they would come and beat a lot of them of the local breeders, but they had the better dogs, and they should win.
It's interesting. I judged my first best in show last year. It was an emergency situation because the other judge couldn't make it, because I'm not licensed to do best in show, but I was the only judge in the panel at that point, so I had to do best in show. And I come from sporting dogs or hounds, and my first best show was the Harts' Pomeranian.
Ah,
So-
connection. Yeah, I think that's pretty neat. That's pretty neat.
yeah, it was fun. It was fun. All right, we're getting off subject. Sorry about
Okay,
that.
we're getting off track. Yeah.
But it's fun. It's fun to talk like that. So you've gone to your first dog show. You got a mate. Was that your first dog show you got a major at, Ray?
Very first dog show.
Wow.
And of course, that was it. The bug bit me. And but the second day I did not win. I remember that. I was reserve. But and I've been going to shows ever since. Bred several litters, best in show winners, group winners.
Who was your guide back then? You're 12 years old. You must have had somebody that was mentoring you.
Mary Casey, who had Pomeranians. She would take me to show. She told me how to fill out an entry. She told me how to dress. She was really instrumental in developing my love of dogs.
And when did you decide you were going to breed IGs?
It took a little longer than that because I was in school and then went off to college.
Sorry to interrupt, but during your school years, did you still participate in dog shows? Did you still go?
Yes, I still went and would actually sometimes even work for Wendell. We sort of got to know each other and went to shows with him and Barbara.
How did you meet Wendell? See, there's another story.
There's another story. This was at Framingham District Kennel Club. It was the week after, I believe, PCA, and Wendell was there, and he needed some help. And I was just hanging around the ring, and he said, well, can you hold the dog? Can you bring it in or whatever? And that was the beginning of it, because he had seen me at some previous shows locally. And that was how I started sort of helping out Wendell. And it was very fortunate. He was a wonderful, talented handler, a wonderful person, a gifted writer, a talented breeder.
There's no question. Yeah.
It was really, to me, very impressed by someone who I had seen winning at the shows, and was very impressed that he would give me a dog to hold.
Now, did you end up showing some poodles with him? Like, did you have to go in the ring?
I did get to go in the ring, yeah. And usually it was, it's like, okay, this one needs to come back in for reserve or something like that.
Right.
But, and skip a couple of years again, I did get a toy poodle from Joan Scott, and Wendell and Dee finished it and showed it and took it on the road because I was away at school. So
did you show the toy poodle?
I did not show the toy poodle.
No, okay.
No. I groomed it the best I could. That was about it.
So that was all during your school years.
Yeah. And sort of after I came back from school and got a job and that sort of thing, I had my first litter, and there were 3 champions in it. One was Winner's Dog of the National, and I forget where that was actually. I think it may have been Ravenna, Ohio.
So your first dog you ever showed, your dog won a major. Then your first litter you ever had, one of your puppies won winners of the National.
Winner's Dog at the National.
Yeah, that's a pretty good record so far.
Yeah, I had a very good record, and I wish everyone could have experience like that. But we have our ups and downs, and certainly not every puppy that any breeder raises is going to make it to the show ring, and we all know that. But
when you started, though, sorry for jumping in again. I get these questions I need to ask. When you started, you were breeding. Now, the bitch that you bred, your first bitch that you bred, where did you get that bitch from?
I got her from Cynthia Guzevich,
Okay.
who was an Afghan breeder, who was breeding dogs with Reverend Robert Watson in Kansas.
Oh, wow.
And I don't know. I don't recall how that came to be. I think we were probably at a national. I met her and Father Watson, and they said, "Oh, we have this bitch here. We'd like you to, come see her, because you need another dog." So, and that's how that started. And I bred her to a dog, a European import called Merlin, and he was a blue dog, beautiful dog, masculine male, and we did have a litter. I finished the puppies, and I don't know, I probably bred 50 or 60 champions.
How old were you when that had the first litter? When you had the
I
first
think
litter?
I was probably in my 20s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It was difficult being a youngster and going off to school, because I'm thankful for my parents who kept the dogs. The dorm wouldn't allow the dogs. The college wouldn't allow dogs in the school. So, but my parents kept the dogs, and even kept a litter of puppies at one point, which I said I needed.
Wow.
So they were very instrumental, I guess, in my success, because of the fact that I couldn't be there for these, but my mother and father raised them and socialized them, and they never went to shows, but they really cared for the dogs. When I got, during the summer, I would go to the shows and take responsibility from there.
So you've been breeding now for, you said you had your last litter, 3 years ago? So that's been breeding for a long time.
Yeah.
Did you have a lot of mentors in that period of time? Like, how did you go in? Like it's easier to research now because we have everything. We have everything at the tip of our fingers now.
Right, we do.
Back then, even when I was a child, you had to research. You had to go talk. You had to go watch. You had to learn.
Well, it was mostly talking. And of course, this was something that just came up the other day. We're at shows, and we saw people come to the show. They'd show their dog, and you could see them leaving the area, getting in their cars and going away, driving away, supposedly home. We never did that. You probably never did that.
Oh,
I remember I got there early morning, and we stayed there the entire day, right through Best in Show. We talked dogs at dinner. We talked dogs during the day. We were exposed to other breeds, other people who had other viewpoints about my dogs, about my Italian Greyhounds. I had sort of developed a little opinions about some other dogs. It was a process. No one is born, I don't think, with the knowledge that we accumulate over the years, particularly in dogs. Each breed is so specific. We have to take time to acknowledge the nuances of the breeds. And I think that was very important. But getting more back to my mentors, it was Mary Casey, it was Louise Cleveland, it was Lillian Barber from California, who had Italian Greyhounds before I did. It was Ruth Bloor from California, who had Italian Greyhounds.
And did you meet these people at nationals? Is this how you, like California, Massachusetts? Back then, that was considered a long ways away.
Right. So. And I met them at nationals. Mostly, we had the Italian Greyhound had a few nationals in conjunction with Westchester in New York. Most of the nationals were held in Ohio for some reason. I'm not really sure. Before they became a roving national, like so many clubs now. I guess Ohio was perhaps mutually inconvenient for everyone. And that's why it ended up there. But the mentors that I've in my breed, Ruth Bloor, Lillian Barber, Father Watson, Cynthia Guzevich. I'm probably forgetting someone as well, but they all contributed to my advancement in the sport. They all encouraged me to continue to breed better dogs, to just become a student of the breed, to learn to listen, to learn to read everything I can about the breed. So that's sort of fast forward to, I guess, where we are today.
So some of the memorable. Can you touch on some of the memorable dogs you've been associated with, and how they came about? I like hearing those stories too. So,
okay, there was a particularly blue bitch that I got. Her name was Padre Bluebird, Joe said, and she was a blue bitch that was bred by Cynthia Guzevich or Summers. Now, perhaps folks may know her as Summers. She married Glenn Summers later on.
I remember. Yeah, I remember. Of course.
Yeah. And Father Watson. And she was a beautiful bitch. She arrived I remember the day she arrived, my dogs lived in a house. We really didn't have a kennel situation. She jumped on the sofa, jumped down, and promptly broke her leg within being in the house for half a day. So I went to a vet who knew show dogs and knew, show dogs that broken legs or, dock tails or whatever. So he tried to, and he did set the leg. And long story short, I was able to show her, not a problem. But she had a very memorable win for me at Progressive Toy Dog Club in New York City. The judge was Alva Rosenberg. She was in the open bitch class. There were 28, and she was named best of breed from the open bitch class, which was it was a thrilling win. And here I am talking about it as something that was memorable, because it still is. Memorable because the fact that I thought she was beautiful. Memorable because Alva Rosenberg, who was so in tune to every dog that he liked Italian Greyhounds, and come to find out he was also in the antique collection. So he liked a lot of the sighthounds, but he also knew the pedigrees. And I was astounded. We were taking the picture and he said, is this a dog from so-and-so? And I said, yes, it is. And for him to know that to me was just amazing. And Cynthia's dogs and Father Watson's dogs, they had a distinct type, a look, an appeal, the beautiful fronts, the curve. And I think remember Alva commenting on that, and that stuck with me all these many years. And it's one of the most memorable wins that I've ever had. And
I'm sure it is.
I have had best in show winners. I have group winners, specialty winners, but the win under Alva meant so much to me.
That would be an amazing day to be recognized by Alva Rosenberg. I never ever got to show to Alva Rosenberg, so I just got to hear about him.
And he was a wonderful, gracious man who knew his stuff. Yeah.
Now, definitely. Did you end up breeding that bitch and having litters from her?
I did have a litter from her, and she produced, I don't know, 2 or 3 champions. Yeah. They didn't do the winning that I thought they should have done. But again, this was a time, and particularly here in New England, when if you had a smooth-coated dog in the toy ring, you were up against Wendell. You were up against Wendell's Yorkie. You were up against these Shih Tzus. You were up against Wendell's Poodles. Um, uh, Bobby Barlow with a pug. Uh, Bill Taylor with the Pekingese. I mean, we had some heavy hitters.
Yeah, it sounds like a formidable toy group.
Yeah,
That's only part of it. Wow.
Yeah.
When was your first Best in Show? Did you breed your first Best in Show winner?
I did breed the first Best in Show winner. Her name was Rashia of Hourglass. She was a sable bitch. I want to say 1980, so it took a while. Joe Gregory gave her a Best in Show. Very exciting. He really liked the breed.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like I find myself drawn to the breed too when I'm watching the toys. It's definitely the Sighthound look. So
definitely, yeah. And to me, the lines, again, as I said, they're like living porcelains. It's beautiful. And I'm sure most people who have particular breeds feel the same way about their breed.
There's no question. There's no question. So how long did you still keep breeding even after? Well, obviously you did, because you had 3 years ago you had a litter. When did you start judging, Ray? And what made you decide to judge?
Well, I mean that's a whole nother story, which I'll be happy to tell you. One of Louise Cleveland's neighbors was was Len Brumby.
Okay.
And at the time, the way the Great American Kennel Club handled judges, or how you were approved, was you had to have Len's blessing. And he would come up to me. He would see me at shows, and we would have dinner at Louise's house. And he said, "We need toy judges. Do you want to judge Italian Greyhounds, Ray?" Well, what do I know? Yeah, I guess. So there was never anything official. There was no application, no paperwork. And I got a letter several weeks later from the American Kennel Club that you are now approved to judge. This is your judge's number, and really didn't do anything with it. For several years, the Italian Greyhound.
What year was that you got approval?
I want to say, I don't, probably maybe late 80s, 90s. I don't really know, to tell you the truth.
Okay.
But it's probably close enough. Say 1990. Yeah, it's been about 30 years or so, maybe a little longer. And my first assignment was the Italian Greyhound Club of America. And
you like to go big, don't you?
I just happened to. I mean, it just happened that way. And it was in California, in Redlands, California. I remember to this day. And I was obviously honored to have my hands on so many beautiful Italian Greyhounds. And I really enjoyed myself. And so I started going to other specialties and breeds that attracted me: Shih Tzus, Yorkies, Maltese, Chihuahua specialties, Poodle specialties. And from there, I sort of would put in applications when I felt sufficiently comfortable, not knowledgeable, but comfortable with the breed, because I think knowledge is a process. And being a judge yourself, perhaps you'll agree with me, when you first start out judging, it's a learning experience.
Oh, no question.
Yeah.
A whole new perspective on things. So.
Definitely. And from a breeder's point, I know where my priorities lie within the Italian Greyhound. Even to this day, things are really important to me within the standard, and therefore in the breed. May not be important to you or the next judge, But as a breeder, I think have an obligation to acknowledge those exhibits that hold those attributes so high to me.
No, I think we're all individual that way. Like, when I look at an Irish setter, there's certain things that I definitely won't forgive, and some things I will gladly accept. So what's the story about how you decided to be a judge?
Well, I mean, it just sort of happened. I mean, from the beginning of like, here you are, here's your approval to judge. And then I did the IG specialty, and I thought, well, this is pretty nice. I like this. Beautiful dogs. I get to see them. I get to touch them. And then I think the next breed I got probably was I want to say it was a Yorkie or a Shih Tzu. I'm not sure. But it was a coated breed. I did co-own a Shih Tzu that did some winning, a lot winning actually. His name was Dashi's My. It's a beautiful dog, handled by Kathy Dullinger, bred by Kathy Pouliot from Connecticut. And that was probably late 80s, maybe 90s. The dates are fuzzy.
What's amazing, you think about like the 80s to me seem like just the other day, and they're not.
No, oh gosh. It is amazing. Well, when you think about it here, 1999 seems so long away, but so.
No, it's crazy. I remember I started showing professionally in '86, and so I started. It doesn't seem that long ago, Ray. It just doesn't. But you look at a calendar, and it is.
It is, so. Yeah. Start doing the math.
Yeah.
2025 in 1986. Wow, it's a big experience.
Crazy. So, what were some of the memorable dogs you've had the opportunity to judge that you've judged and have made an impact on you that you've stored away in your memory banks and never to forget? Like, you remember the dog you gave the first IG national to?
It was a dog called, I don't remember her name. I remember it was owned by Kathy Holmes, the blue and white bitch. She became a Best in Show winner. I don't recall her name. I would have to look it up. Kathy Holmes was a breeder on the West Coast. She bred some beautiful dogs, typey, correctly sized. I wish I could. No, I should have studied more, I guess, before the interview.
Thing is, when I think of dogs that they were memorable to me, sometimes I just remember their call names. I can't remember their real names.
Yeah.
So
I don't.
But you've judged now for like a long time, Ray. What are some of the dogs that you just made an impression on you?
Well, there's the Afghan Trist, very impressive dog. The Doberman from, I forget his name. I don't remember his name. I'm sorry.
Where was he from? What area?
I'm from New England here.
Oh, okay.
Of course, Bob and Jane showed a lot of really nice dogs that were an Irish setter that was very famous. I don't remember his name, but
you got to see a lot of those dogs because they showed in that area. So
they did show in this area. Yeah. I can't. No.
Well, they'll come to you. What was your first Best in Show winner? Do you remember that?
I do not
judged?
Know. I do not know.
No, you don't remember.
I do not remember.
I think I'll remember mine because it was an emergency situation and it just was just thrown at me. So
I was trying to think. I thought, well, that's a question he'll probably ask me. Who was the first dog I ever gave a group to or a best in show to? And I don't remember.
wow.
And I don't, I don't want it to be that the dog was any less than great that it probably was on the day. I just don't remember names very well.
That's probably a good thing. And that means you didn't put up a dog that was just famous. You just put
No,
up a dog who you
yeah.
thought would deserve to win. So,
Well, thank you for that. Yeah, so, and interesting. You say that as a judge in the best in show ring, you hear all these gossips outside, little snippets of conversation. Oh, he's a toy judge. Oh, he bred Italian Greyhounds. He's not going to go for the Clumber Spaniel or for the Great Dane or for the Dobie. He's going to put the toy up. And most of the times, I don't put the toy up. To me, is the best dog. And people are surprised that, wow, I was really surprised that you put that breed up. And people get pigeonholed, I think. And that's sort of unfair to me and every other dog that walks into a ring, like you, perhaps. They say, well, he's going to put the sporting dog up, probably the setter. And maybe it is the best dog in the ring. But I'm sure you, like me, we judge to, we think.
you gave me a best in show. I gave me a few. You gave me a best in show on a toy.
I did? I don't remember that.
Yep, Cavalier.
Oh, for gosh sakes. Yeah. Wow. I remember.
In London, it was a dog show near London.
London, so, yeah. Interesting.
Hmm.
I thought I had given you a best with an Irish setter in something. Maybe
no,
I
you
did.
Have. I think you gave me a best with an Irish setter, even a beagle. But I think the first one was the Cavalier.
That's the Cavalier. See, I don't remember that. I'm sorry. But I'm sure it was a beautiful Cavalier.
Oh yeah, he was beautiful. There's no question. But it was just fun, and I was so excited to go best in show under you being a toy person. So it made it even more exciting. So
it's very nice. It's a good memory then for you.
Sometimes I can't remember what happened yesterday, but I can't remember what happened then.
Yeah.
So if someone came up to you, Ray, and said that they wanted to get involved, they wanted to start, let's say, even breeding dogs, what advice would you give them?
I would advise them to talk to as many breeders as possible, to study every piece of information that you can get your hands on. Go to as many dog shows, go to many kennels, although we don't have kennels like we used to.
No.
Touch as many puppies, touch as many adults, touch the old dogs, look what they look like. Go see the litters that are produced by frozen semen that's 30 or 40 years old. Go and look at what the breed used to look like, as opposed to what's winning in the ring today.
Yeah. It would probably be hard for a newcomer to have that. Like, we've seen a lot of dogs in our careers, so we have a storage bank in our head of breeds that those dogs, like Irish setters, Cavaliers, we have dogs in our head that are almost our template. But when you're first starting out, you're attracted to something that you love, and it may not necessarily, like, how many times do people make the mistake is they buy a dog and it's a breed that they think they love, but they just buy it from anywhere, and they spend the next 20 years trying to fix that one dog they bought.
Yeah, it's difficult because we don't have the mentor support we did when I was growing up, and perhaps when you were growing up into the sport. It's hard to, again, go to dog shows, read what you can. And I even say this today as a judge. People say, well, how did you get to be, how do you know all these breeds? Well, it's by study the standard. Talk to as many different opposing views. If we all saw the same dog with the same set of eyes, life would be very boring. But we need to appreciate other people's interpretation of standards, along with what the parent club said, this is the standard, this is the blueprint that you need to breed to judge to aspire to. So, and I feel sorry for newcomers because, again, we don't have the mentors, we don't have the breeders, we don't have the big kennels to go to. So we have to rely on what we have, which is written word, photographs, talk to some of the old timers like you and I. Isn't that, I just hate that word. But you've been around for a while. We've seen the changes.
Right.
And almost every judge would be happy to talk with newcomers. I know I am.
There's no question. Yeah, I'm as well. I love teaching people. I love people when they seem enthusiastic about something. I like trying to help them, so, or at least point them in the right direction as best I can. So, what about say if I approached you and Ray, I'd like to start judging, what should I do? How should I begin?
Well, there's a technical aspect, the paperwork and all that sort of business. You need to see if you qualify by having so many litters, own so many dogs, finish so many dogs, bred so many litters. That has to be satisfied. And then the next biggest challenge is to get the education beyond the basics of the mechanics of the owners, the showing, the champion, the finishing, that sort of thing. Again, go to as many specialties, talk to the breeders, talk to anyone really with the breed that you're interested. Go to that ring, talk to that person. They probably would love to talk to you about their dog, about their breed. They may be a newcomer. They may be someone in the breed who's been there for 20 or 30 years. Any information that you can get is going to become knowledge to put in your way back in your brain cells. That, oh, I remember one time someone told me about the shape of the Labrador Retriever's eye and why the lips have to be tight or the coat has to be double coated. And if you have to accumulate all that information from different sources, and then you, as an intelligent human being, and make the decision as to of that information, how does it apply to the standard? You could read the standard. Oh, okay, here it is. It describes the coat. The lab has to be double coat. Or why is it double coated? Oh, so it can survive in the water. So it can function and do its job.
Well, once they figure that out, I think things come to us easier once we figure out why they are the way they are.
Yeah, and people don't. I hope people understand that we need to encourage the original purpose and maintain that purpose.
Yes, I agree. Because you look, standards have changed throughout the years, but the history has never changed. So,
well, the history never changes. The purpose, well, I shouldn't say that. The purposes of the dog rarely change. In some instances, you do, particularly some of the sporting dogs. Their purposes change. Like
I think they changed with the times, though, from what they're needed. Because when they were first developed, they were developed for a need. Right, to feed the family, to do something, and so those things have all changed, and they found jobs they need to do now. So, so you've judged for quite a long time now, Ray. What about some memorable assignments?
Well, certainly the first Italian Greyhound specialty I did was very memorable. Ugh. I believe it or not, I think every show I judge is memorable. Uh,
Mhm.
it may be just because the particular dog that I got to judge, or dog that I just feel that maybe I discovered it and could follow its career. Um, I, several years ago, Kennel Club of Beverly Hills was a wonderful show. I mean, it was quite elegant. They had beautiful dogs there. The venue was beautiful. The way they treated judges, the hospitality was uh, fantastic. Um, that was a nice show. Um, uh, there's a
It's
there's a
because there's so many of them in your
there's
head
so
now.
many
You're
of
trying
them.
to go through them.
Yeah, I mean, I would have to process. Um, some of the larger shows, memorable because the numbers are larger,
Yeah.
particularly nowadays in the recent past decade. The shows in Orlando, the AKC sponsored shows, and the hosting clubs, those are huge entry shows. Uh, I judged at Santa Barbara. That was quite impressive a long time ago.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
Again, Ramona Van Court was there. I mean, she was. It was just wonderful uh, uh, to be in the presence of the greats that I grew up with, or they were my contemporaries in a way. Uh, there are so many really memorable shows. Shows, even some small shows in East Podunk. You know, the people were gracious, the dogs were wonderful, the hospitality was outstanding, uh, and you get to see a little snippet of America. We go to Iowa, say, and you drive cornfield and cornfield after wheat field and cornfield, and it's like, oh, this is America. This is beautiful. I mean, the mountains on the coasts, the oceans. Uh, we, uh, the Houston Kennel Club. I remember at the Astro World. Was an impressive show way back. I
Oh
mean,
yeah, they
it's still
always
pretty
were.
impressive.
They were events. So
Yeah, they were really truly events, and we still have some of those. I mean, Westchester used to be my favorite show uh, when they held it in Tarrytown at the
yeah,
Lyndhurst Estate, just for the sheer beauty of it. The grounds were
yeah.
immaculately cared for.
That's interesting. Like you have shows like that. Like, is that one of your favorite shows because it's beautiful, but because it brings back memories to you? The West, like Old Dominion was always my favorite show to go to because I had some great memories as a child there. So
Well, see, interesting you say that because I'm not to discourage Old Dominion, wonderful, but I remember being in the rain and the mud in Old Dominion.
yeah,
As opposed to being at Westchester, where it did rain on occasion, but it was on this beautiful setting, and we had the castle in the background and the river in front of you, and we had the remnants of the pool house that you could go wander through after you were showing, or wander the grounds. And it was just a magnificent setting, from the
oh,
tenting,
no question,
you
no
know.
question.
So I guess our experiences are different because you probably won Best of Show at Old Dominion, and I was there trying to get my Italian Greyhound and my car out of the mud.
Yeah. When I was growing up, that area in Virginia was a mecca for Irish sitters. There were so many very good Irish sitter breeders around there. So whenever we went there, my parents and we would see all these great Irish setters that we only read about. So I think that's why it's in my head. So
ah, ah.
yeah,
Well, see, it's part of the experience, I guess, is what we bring. And it's not only in dog shows, but in everyday life.
Yeah.
Going to the grocery store, we have an interaction with someone and remember, we recall, whether we feel it with joy or with trepidation, it's still a memory that happened. And I hope we're all grateful for any interactions we have, particularly with dogs and dog people and venues. We were fortunate because we had grounds like Old Dominion, and we had grounds like Westchester and Santa Barbara at the Polo Fields, and in Western Reserve at the Polo Fields. The racetrack in Hialeah, Florida, used to have a show that used to be on the infield. Very beautiful show. The shows in Montreal. I mean, in that hotel, it was beautiful.
Oh yeah, the Place Bonaventure. Beautiful. Yeah, it's amazing how certain venues and certain shows just bring back memories. And like I remember being a kid and looking for, okay, we're going to United this weekend. Like I'm going to go there, and it was exciting. So, how many groups do you have, Ray?
I have 4 groups.
4 groups. What was your second group? Toys were obviously your first.
Toys were first, non-sporting, hound, and then herding.
Okay. Is you going to go any further, or is that it?
I think I may dabble in some sporting dogs.
Oh, yeah. You'll be a good sporting dog judge.
Well, thank you. But interesting you say that. Perhaps you were going to ask me, what is my favorite? And I have to tell you, the herding dogs are very impressed because they do what they're supposed to do. I mean, toys do what they're supposed to do. They're the perfect companion. They all do that, hopefully. But the herding dogs, I mean, their function, their form, they follow the function.
All comes together when you're judging that group.
It really does. But I love all the breeds I judge. Otherwise, I would not do it.
But you just did the Maltese National, you were telling me.
I did.
That must have been fun.
It was a lot of fun. And Maltese is a breed that used to have big numbers. So it was, I was pleasantly surprised that there were many beautiful young dogs in the classes that speaks really well for the breed, for the future. Yeah. It was, besides the special.
It is heartwarming when you watch that and you get to see the future looks bright. So
yes, it really does. It really does.
Okay, I won't keep you much longer. I want one more question though, Ray. I'd like it. If you met the 20-year-old Ray right now, what advice would you give him?
I got to think about that. Well, what advice would I give myself? Oh gosh, that's a difficult question.
It is a difficult question, and I use it quite a bit, and it's always interesting to see what people come up with, and it's amazing. Sometimes they say nothing. I wouldn't change a thing. So,
well, if I could change something, I guess I would want to be a little more accessible to other parts of the country and other people. Often we met at a specialty, once a year in the middle of the country. I wish we had better means of, like, we had the telephone was always available, but now we have Zoom and we have pictures and we have iPhones and cell phones that follow us everywhere.
Oh, the world's smaller now.
It is much smaller. I wish I were able to. Oh, I guess not. I wish I was more open to travel more frequently than just once a year to the national.
Mhm.
I think that would have given me more educational opportunities as I look back to meet those people and spend time with people that I respected, that bred dogs that were winning and were also good dogs, not only of Italian Greyhounds, but of all breeds.
Sure. No, it's true. Like back in the early days, you and I actually, it was hard to get around. It was hard to,
Mhm.
it wasn't
Mhm.
easy. And then when you did see a dog from the other side of the country, it was like, wow,
Ah, yeah,
it was exciting.
yeah.
So,
Definitely.
all right. Anything coming up that's exciting that you can tell us?
Um, I am judging the AKC Eukanuba show in December. That's kind of very exciting.
What are you
And
doing there, Ray?
I'm doing not Italian Greyhounds, unfortunately, some herding breeds and a couple of toys.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
You'll get a great entry there. It's always fun to watch the depth. I always, whenever I go, I just find a spot and sit down and watch what's going on.
Yeah,
So,
it's really wonderful. It's a place to. It's sort of like going to crafts, you know. There's big entries, and okay, so you've got 200 Yorkies, and you've got 300 Labs. What do you want to watch? You can't do it all.
no,
But
you can't. You can't. It's crazy. All right. Well, I appreciate your time, Raymond. It's great to catch up with you. It's good to see you. I guess it was about a month ago now we saw each other.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah, that's great.
Well,
I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, and I
thank
hope
you.
hope to see you somewhere down the road.
You stay well, Will.
Thanks, Raymond. You as
Bye.
well. Thank you, Ray. I'm so glad we could get together and do this because it was a fun interview. If you like what you see here, make sure you press the like, share, and subscribe button. Don't forget about the podcast, the Dog Show Drive, and I will talk to you somewhere down the road. Take care, everyone.
Best in Show winner. And this year, with her strong athletic build, her fluid gait, and her confidence in the ring, the Beagle by the name of Miss P became the 9th.
The Best in Show is the Beagle.
Congrats, Miss P, on winning the 139th Westminster Best in Show.